enforcement functions in many different capacities, and the words that we use to describe them indicates what we need them for or what we don't want them for. So when you talk about the people who are sworn to protect and serve, when you have a missing child, Seth looks at them for help. Law enforcement is a good neutral term to use. But Katie didn't say law enforcement are on the way. She definitely didn't say help is on the way. What Katie Proudfoot said, the authorities were on their way. Authorities are figures, organizations we may be fearful of, that we have to be careful around, that have power over us. They have authority, meaning when you are confronted with authority, it is a moment where you may want to be on your best behavior. At least that's how we are taught when we are children. These are the authority figures. These people need to be respected, and if you do something wrong, you're going to get in big trouble. Katie Proudfoot, in the most vulnerable time of her life, supposedly, refers to law enforcement as the authorities. This language indicates how she thinks about them about to arrive. She is prepared and has been prepared for this moment. She woke up at 6, unless she was already up, and her language indicated that the first thing she had done was not look through the house. She called Chris Proudfoot at 6:03. She waited a couple minutes, but she could not wait much longer. Katie Proudfoot has a pattern, and the pattern is when she is going by script, she is speeding up her talk. You can hear within her statements, within her speech, that there are many times when she gets flustered, she fumbles, she taps on the table, she tries to get back to her script, and when she got the script, she races through it. If you have watched On Patrol, her appearance there, that was pure script. And the guy made it easy for her. And of course, the show was all about relocating missing children. There were no serious questions, there was no accusation, there were no specific demands to know more about what happened that night. It was all about how can I help you find your son. It was easy for Katie Proudfoot to stay on script because the questions were not surprising, they were very superficial. And that's, of course, what the show is there for. Every show has a different type of agenda, and what they need are ratings. So they have their niche. And their niche is not one of criminal investigations. Now, AMW is supposed to be, but as I've said again, I'm very happy finally some people are starting to get what I have been saying about Seth all along. Seth has a power and needs to use it. And if they allow in the editing process the Proudfoots to go first, to introduce Sebastian to us, the last person to have seen him alive is the one telling us about Sebastian, giving us the impression she is the most concerned person, the mother. This is pretty alarming. And if I was in Seth's shoes, I would have made sure I go first, that what I have to say goes first, because he is suspecting Katie. He has said it from the very beginning. I think she over medicated him and he overdosed, and they're covering it up. Now, of course, Seth is being talked out of a lot of things. And Tony, what is Tony? Tony is supposed to make sure of these things. So, what is he doing? How is he getting paid? Does Seth has this kind of money, or is he waiting for the big bucks with the Netflix special? Because I can already guarantee you, if all Seth is going to do is just sign, Tony showing him, okay, here, this is the line. You sign right here, bro. It's maybe even gonna be worse. Sebastian will turn into a huge brand, a huge money-making brand. And the one thing that is not going to happen is that Sebastian will be found, or that it will be found out officially what happened to him. They will stretch this out forever. They will have a 20-year special, and it's going to be like, well, the mystery continues. And yeah, people will make money. And that's about it. And eventually, people will get tired of the case and forget about it. So, what I am saying, if you have a line to Seth directly, not the one that's going through Tony, let him know that he has the power. He can always say, I refuse, because his YouTube channel is growing. And then, if they don't want to present the case in the right light, he can come on his channel and explain to us what he wants. So, yes, I understand him that he is living on hope. But don't be surprised, people. And don't be disappointed. Don't expect anything from people. Look at people's patterns. If there's a pattern of passivity or passive aggressiveness, slight aggressiveness, in terms of, well, let's see what happens. And I guess, no, that's not going to work, man. I know we are told to rely on law enforcement, and they're going to do right by us no matter what. Sure, but even if law enforcement is very interested in a case, they cannot solve every single case. Not every single case can be solved, because many times they just don't have the manpower or the ability to see through everything. And if they're underfunded, I doubt that they have a proper statement analyst or behavior analyst. They have people there, who graduate from some of these classes, but many of them, after they graduate, their energy level is already finished. That took a lot out of them, and they know enough to keep their job. But that doesn't mean that they truly have an interest in figuring out what happens or a passion about it. So now, okay, sorry, I'm reading some of you guys' comments. And here, hi, Julia, Louis, C, Polly, thank you guys. Many more, Babs. I appreciate you guys very much. I'm happy to have you here. And I'm happy that, I'm not even reading anymore on X, on Twitter, unless something comes from Lauren or Pilo or somebody who's been giving me great information. I share my videos when they are published or about to be published, and announce my premieres. But otherwise, I have very little. It's really a cesspool, and I can only encourage you guys to block the people who sidetrack good conversations, good communication, because I've seen some of you make great posts, and then People come in to sidetrack, and suddenly there's an argument about something that's completely unimportant and leads away. And so we need to combat that. We need to go against that because this is the enemy of the free flow of um, information. So let me see where I stopped the last time. And hi, Dynamite. So, Jesus, where was I? Let me look. I gotta make sure it was about Sebastian Rogers through the eyes of his mama. Utterly loves going over there. And I missed something. Let me go back. Game nights. Sebastian is an awesome person who deserves to be home. Sebastian's room is always a little bit messy. Who cares? What is this about? It's messy? Did you mess it up? So Sebastian struggles with maintaining friendships with a lot of the children his age because even with the children that are similar, they tend to have different interests. Sebastian gets very sorry, I already listened to this, right? Like single mind tracked. Like if he's wanting to talk about like frustrated and say like, time out and whatnot. We have met some kids, especially like because I like to take them out and go do things, especially in like public settings like the festivals and bowling and stuff like that, to get them out and get them, it gives an opportunity to interact and work on those like kind of social skills and meeting people and being appropriate when meeting people, responding, with appropriate emotions and stances, like if someone's being polite and says hello to you, to match that energy and not come at a different energy, and we have like a scale that we work on, like what is the problem that's frustrating you, is it like a 0, 1, 2, 3, and then okay, well what's your response to that, type thing. So yes, how hard it is to deal with him, right? That is what she's telling us. Nothing about I miss him. I miss his call it quirkiness or whatever you used before. Fine. His his quirky sense of humor, or talk about that. How much you miss it. Even people who have annoyed you, when they go missing, these people become angels, and you overdo it, and you praise them, and that is expected. Doesn't matter if it is a child or a grown up. That's why whenever a missing persons case comes about, you hear people praising this person. This person lit up the room. This was the most energetic and this person had the most beautiful energy in the world. You hear nothing but praises. Yeah, but what about the time you guys argued at work and this? No, no, oh my God, I can't believe we did this. No, that was so stupid. Everything is forgiven, everything is forgotten, everything that you may have had a problem with in the past is being overlooked because all you care about is the person. You see the person as a whole. Even when a celebrity dies, and they may have before, had controversies and people didn't always necessarily like them, but when they die, all of a sudden, this is the end. This is the end of a chapter. And you look back, and that's what Seth is talking about. He's looking back. It's like a movie going through his mind. Rewinding, slow motion, freeze frame. Just these moments, these special moments. Even if, maybe, and he says, yeah, he gave me crap, I gave him crap. He says things like that, but there is nothing negative he has to say about his son. Absolutely nothing. And that is normal. And I will continue to point these things out, even though there are thousands of things that I can analyze. And I have said it before, I've never seen that. There are more red flags than in a Chinese military parade. But, nothing has been done. So, says, do not expect law enforcement to do anything. And you need to see these warning signs. If you missed the warning signs in the past, see these warning signs. Be proactive. Like Chris. Look how proactive Chris is. He attacks the problems before they come about, before they present themselves. When the moderators say, no, no, okay, let's get back to this. No, he says, no, 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 let's deal with this right now. This is how you have to be, Seth. And then law enforcement will at least share real information with you, not a bunch of lies that them and Tony may have, no, it will be reality. They will respect you as a person, as an investigative father, and share some real information with you. So don't let go and don't be passive aggressive, like, well, they haven't found my son and no, you need to put pressure on them, man. Not just sign somewhere and appear somewhere and then allow, give credibility to the Proudfoots and their attempt to sidetrack, because that's exactly what I see happening here. There are no accusations here. There is no finger pointing, but there should be. There should be finger pointing at certain facts that are irrefutable.
Yes, he has does interact with other children and people, but he struggles to form those like stronger bonds with people. Although he's in denial, he doesn't want to tell Mama that he likes girls. He's definitely got a unique rhythm. He loves to dance. Utterly loves going over there, and we do game nights. He loves playing cards. Uno is currently his favorite game.
I know.
He changes his favorite food probably every day. Chocolate milk has been a long time.
Yeah, he changes his favorite food. I tell you what his favorite food was. His favorite food was whatever you were willing to give him. Boy was starving. Every food is his favorite food. I doubt he may have had less favorite foods, but I doubt he refused anything. That was an ongoing theme, and he was probably too hungry to go to bed at night, because what you fed him wasn't nutritious. His body wasn't full. That's why he risked getting his butt beat going downstairs and emptying a can, eating something, and putting it back there empty, because he wanted to delay being found out. He didn't want somebody to see, oh, this is missing, or there is an empty can of something. He must have eaten it. No, he put it back there as if, maybe they don't realize that I've eaten it. What a life. What a life. The life that he deserves to live. The reason that he didn't live the life he deserved to live was because of you, Katie, and your husband. He could have had a much better life. He likes to run, he likes to swim. How many times did you take him swimming or running? Did you put him on a track team? That's the way that you meet other kids who are like-minded. Now you're complaining about that he didn't have any real friends. You didn't want him to have friends come over and see how you and Chris are dealing with him. Or go to friends' houses and the parents asking, why are you so scared to go home? That's exactly what they wanted to avoid. Abusers isolate their victims and make them feel like they have absolutely no lifeline. And all of that changed when finally the teachers, the mandatory reporting, revealed that there was a huge problem at home. That changed everything. And that's why Chris stayed away for so long.
Runner. Not fried and no sauce, just plain steamed tofu and sushi. The boy loves sushi.
Oh, yeah.
He loves it.
Loves it.
He likes it, but it's...
Snacks. He loves it. Extra malt. Fake woman.
He doesn't at the same time because it's so loud and clanky. So Sebastian wore pull-ups because...
How detailed she gets, right? Because food was a major issue. She's getting extremely detailed about things that are not really helpful right now. But when it comes to serious details, serious issues, oh my God, silence.
Specifically, when he was having his regression, when he was having issues with wetting the bed or wetting his pants, he had issues where he would wet himself at school. And then occasionally would wet himself at night. Now, I know that Seth went and said that never happened at his house, but I do know that it did. At least a few occasions that I know of.
So it happened in at Seth's house. Maybe Seth forgot about it. Who knows? Maybe it didn't happen. Maybe you're making it up. But yeah, maybe let's say it did happen at Seth's house. Yeah, that's not what Seth is thinking about right now. He's not thinking about how quote unquote difficult Sebastian was. He's not concerned with him wetting his bed. And why was he wetting his bed? What emotional issues may be underlying? It's not an autism thing, people. It's something there are many children who, until a later age, wet their beds, and many times it's an indicator for some sort of abuse, insecurity, a constant fear, you name it. You don't look at it as an obstacle or as a curse or whatever. You look at it like, what can I do to help my child? Why is he stressed? Why is he doing these things? But none of that, because her hands full and her mind was full and her heart was full with Chris. That was her only concern in life, to keep this relationship going so he doesn't move on to wife number 6.
But that's not the point. The point is that he did go in and out of pull-ups based on when he needed them. So if he was during a regression phase, he would go into the pull-ups, and then once he got back on track and he was not having wedding issues at school and or at home, he would go back into regular underwear.
At least she is a little more, no, not a little, she's way more self-aware than Chris Foot. So she uses a language that is not really offensive. However, the fact that she is thinking about this right now, who cares what he did? How does this help us find him? But Chris is sitting right next to her. Yeah, he did. Yeah, You know what I mean? So she is actually always worried about pleasing her husband. And she knows she needs to sink to a certain level to keep him around. Can you imagine that conversation? They're probably, first of all, I stayed away from, many of you have said that they have a huge drinking problem. I mean, that's not really their only problem, but they drink a lot. I think Katie has some major autoimmune issues, and alcohol makes it a lot worse. This is just my opinion, but I've co-written a paper on that, on the Rh negative blood factor, autoimmune issues, and a high level of sociopathy, which is a major part of what has gotten me so into this case in the beginning, because I felt that nobody saw Katie for who she really is. But I was able to do that because this is familiar territory to me. And that was how I got started to present Katie through my eyes and make it transparent step by step so the world can see her for who she is. And she was not a victim of Chris Proudfoot. Chris Proudfoot offered to leave. I believe that. He said, I'm done. I'm moving on to wife number 6. Chris is not the type that will stick things out. If things get too difficult, he will snap, or he will just say, forget it, I'm done. He was not willing to tolerate Sebastian. He was not willing to tone things down. Even though CPS was on his case, he was not willing to stop the abuse. He probably, I don't want to say he couldn't, because everybody has choices to make, but in his own mind, I'm a black and white kind of guy. He needs to be beat.
And that, unfortunately, is just something that has been happening for, ever. Sebastian was late to potty train and has had issues going back and forth with it.
Jesus! Look at the percentages that she actually talks about missing Sebastian. She puts in like 1 or 2 sentences. She throws in, He needs to come home, stuff like that. Like she trashes him like 6, 7 sentences, and then she throws in like one sentence, oh, but he was a really good kid. That is the script. What she wants to do, really wants to do, feels like doing, is just tell everybody how horrible it was to live with him, how much of a nightmare he was. The worst nightmare has come back to life. She thought, this chapter of Sebastian is over. The nightmare is over. She wants you to see Sebastian through her own words. And she's more gentle than the foot. But her pattern is different. Her words are just as damning because of the timing, the situation she is in, and still she trashes him. And she doesn't say object when Chris trashes him even worse. And the same thing with the Kathy Bowersock statements. The fact that they are nasty towards Seth and Sebastian tells the whole story. Imagine how much worse it was before.
Basically his whole life. Sebastian had a recent...
And also that's probably why he had a hard time forming relationships, because he was used to being hated. He felt it. He probably felt like nobody likes him. If your own mama doesn't like you, and all of the extended family or in-law family or married family they all treat you like you're crap, then maybe that his self-esteem was just on the bottom. And he maybe was too shy or was scared or was expected bad things to happen and stayed to himself. I don't know. I'm assuming. That's what makes sense to me right now.
Autism diagnosis, but Sebastian has a chromosome deletion that he was diagnosed with when he was a baby.
So yes, for his whole life it was nothing but problems, right, Katie?
He's got combined type ADHD, so he does get, hyper. His behaviors become a little more like he'll flip-flop between his moods more, like being overly excited or, he has periods where he's really calm, where he just hyper focuses on, whatever it is.
He was also heavily medicated and,
he's playing or fidgeting with. He can become a little more temperamental, like more easily aggravated. Not that he becomes violent, but he just gets aggravated easier.
Who aggravated him?
He does get an increased appetite when he's off of his meds. An unfortunate side effect of those is that they do suppress the appetite a little bit. So he'll eat more.
I looked at this med, and doesn't it increase your appetite? Is she trying to make excuses why he was so thin and so undernourished? Because from what I understand, he was always looking for food, trying to make breakfast, and so on. If he'd taken anything that suppresses his appetite, then of course, when he gets off these meds, the body's trying to catch up.
And he will be more, I'm trying to think of the right word, like when he'll start telling you something, he'll be on a bunch of different subjects, but all like in the same sentence.
Wait a minute, what was that?
With when he was a baby. He's got combined type ADHD, so he does get, hyper. His behaviors become a little more like he'll flip-flop between his moods more, like being overly excited or, he has periods where he's really calm, where he just hyper focuses on, whatever it is that he's playing or fidgeting.
Listen to all the because she doesn't have a script for this one. So she's trying to write one in her mind real quick.
He can become a little more temperamental, like more easily aggravated. Not that he becomes violent, but he just gets aggravated easier. He does get an increased appetite when he's off of his meds. You know, an unfortunate side effect of those is that they do suppress the appetite a little.
He doesn't get violent. When they tell us what they're not doing, there's also a big reason for that. What is she trying to avoid saying here?
So he'll eat more. And he will be more.
When she doubles the words, she's about ready for the crescendo, the big one.
I think it's the right word. Like when he'll start telling you something, he'll be on a bunch of different subjects, but all like in the same sentence. Yeah, he becomes a lot less coordinated in his thoughts. He's all over the place. Hey, Mama. And I said, oh, this is going to be good. Hold on. And I pulled out my phone, and he went, green tea.
So
and
what?
Then I stopped recording, but right after that, he was like, he just thought he was the funniest person on planet Earth. I mean, he just started laughing at himself.
That laugh, man, and the imitation of Sebastian's voice doesn't sit well with me.
And I wish I'd have kept recording, but he did. No shit, y'all. He bent over laughing because he thought he was just so funny. And they come out of nowhere.
They're having a good old time. A good old time. But is it flattering? Is this really all the stuff that you would want to talk about when your child is missing?
There too, when you're not expecting it, and you just like lose your place, and you're like, did you just verbally kick my ass? Not a personality. I mean, he's got that teenage attitude going on where he's all over the place. So one minute he's angry, and next minute he's laughing and joking, and the next minute he's like, I'm going to my room.
Which age are we referring to? Him being a teenager? Because from what I understand, his voice was changing, right? He was growing a mustache. His voice would not be like, I'm going to my room. Is that another way of emasculating, or is she thinking about when he was 10 years old? And why would you imitate your missing child in such a disrespectful manner? Why don't you give him, after he disappeared, in my opinion, is no longer alive, not grant him the dignity that you never have when he was alive, when he was around? Why wouldn't you grant him this dignity now? Why do you want to trash him and talk even about him wetting the bed? How does Sebastian, having had issues like that, help locate his body, or, as you claim, him? Because he walked away, right? You see, the problem is that we get easily desensitized by hearing the Proudfoots so many times. And when we get desensitized, we stop recognizing they're not normal. It doesn't stand out to us anymore. Trust me, if this was a different case, like John Benet Ramsey or anything like that, man, we would immediately say, did you hear this? Did you hear this? Did you hear this? But there are thousands of these types of things with the Proudfoots where you go like, this can't be real, man. And no arrests have been made. This is the craziest case ever, man.
And the next minute he's like, I'm going to my room.
You see, hear this?
What are you doing? Nothing. He's still young at heart too, you know, like mentally he's young. He still likes to play with his Legos, and he has I think it's called Marble Run. It's where you.
How about he had nothing else to do in the house?
can build. It's like a puzzle, but you build like little tracks, and it's got marbles, and they race down the tracks. It's super fun. But that's been one of his latest things that he'd been playing with. Was he was all about making his marble runs. Well, everybody in the world knows his favorite video game, Minecraft. But I don't know. He loves to play Mario Kart. He's got all the Mario games, Mario 8, Mario, all the Mario racing games. I can't remember all of them. The Superstars. Every time he hears a new Mario game coming out, he's like, I gotta have that one. When we sit up with we've even got the little like wheels, the racing wheels. You put the little Switch controller in and turn it into a steering wheel. Oh, it gets serious. He'll be like, you're going down. And the worst part is he kicks my butt half the time in it too. Well, that's like the picture with him in front of the big trophy. That was a thing that we took him to for his birthday. And we let him pick his team. And I'll be darned if they didn't win. It was one of those game show like experience things. So you go in and it's like you're on a game show because he loves watching game shows on the Game Show Network. Loves Family Feud. He watches Wheel of Fortune with me. He don't never guess the puzzles. Sits in here, no whammies. It depends on if he got to do what he wanted to do that day or not. Yeah. Family Feud is his favorite. That's his number one go-to. I was going to say sushi, but tofu is a good contender. Plain tofu, not fried tofu. It's like steamed, no sauce. Just
I wouldn't eat it, but hey, if you know.
Plain tofu, warmed up. Mm-hmm. Eat it all day long. But sushi.
Of course, it's just another way to tell everybody how quote unquote weird, awkward he was.
I have to say it's probably his number one favorite, but tofu's up there with it. Oh yeah, he loves fish. If you offer the kid fish or steak, it's fish every time, no questions asked. He eats pretty healthy. He likes his vegetables. He loves the little sweet peppers and bell pepper.
Yeah, because if you feed him colossal popcorn and spaghetti pancakes, a growing body craves. Actually, that means he's a pretty normal. I mean, I don't understand tofu, but it seems like he had some real natural cravings and knew what was good for him.
Zucchini, I mean, Brussels sprouts. Oh my God! Every single time we go to the store, Mom, will you make Brussels sprouts?
Wow, you see, I didn't like that as a kid, but yeah, he has cravings. Some greens, some vitamins,
What's worse is I'm sitting here cutting them up, trying to prep them to cook them, and he's eating them raw fast as I can cut them. Nutella. I'm honestly.
Maybe he was impatient to eat because he hadn't eaten for a while.
Chocolate malt, extra malt. Dude, you're allowed to get a snack, but don't eat all the sugar in the world. You already can't sleep. And then again, he loves peanut butter.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear that? Did you hear this part? Understand now why Katie has mentioned the colossal popcorn?
Juice. Eat it all day long. But sushi, I'd have to say, is probably his number one favorite. But tofu's up there with it. Oh yeah, he loves fish. If you offer the kid fish or steak, it's fish every time, no questions asked. He eats pretty healthy. He likes his vegetables. He loves the little sweet peppers and bell peppers and zucchini. I mean, Brussels sprouts. Oh my God! Every single time we go to the store, Mom, will you make Brussels sprouts?
Sorry, I have to.
What's worse is I'm sitting here cutting them up, trying to prep them to cook them, and he's eating them raw fast as I can cut them. Nutella. I'm honestly. Chocolate malt, extra malt. Dude, you're allowed to get a snack, but don't eat all the sugar in the world. You already can't sleep.
You already can't sleep. The sugar is the reason that he can't sleep. Well, there are many reasons he cannot sleep. And of course, physical inactivity, not being able to do running or swimming or just being able to do nothing, being stuck in the house, they isolated him. He likes to go to playgrounds. When was that? When he was 10 years old? And now what does he do? A lot of the families had no idea there was a boy living there. He wasn't physically active. So don't just blame the sugar. Yes, I am very much against sugar, to be honest with you. I personally have cut sugar out completely from my diet 6 months ago. And I am happy to say I don't even remember what it tastes like. But the reason that children actually crave sweets is nature's way to ensure that they will eat fruit. So if you have Nutella and a lot of sugar in the house, then that's his go-to thing. He's craving something sweet. Fructose. He's eating the Brussels sprouts raw. Yeah, he's craving. He is starving. And was he 120 or was he 113? How says Seth? I would. He looks more like he was 113 pounds. You know, he looked very undernourished, very unhealthy, very unhealthy. Even his face, he looked weak, but not weak by nature. Weakened by poor diet and not enough. So now you understand why she keeps mentioning the colossal popcorn. Because she had no choice in her mind. That's what she's trying to tell us, to over medicate him with sleep aid at night. She's telling us all of the reasons why Sebastian wasn't able to sleep, and sleep was a major issue that she left out in the AMW interview. But she gave us several statements that indicate there was a huge argument about him not being able to sleep that particular night. He couldn't sleep. So she gave him more meds than usual, which I believe was located inside of that pond. Something was in there. Maybe sleeping pills that hadn't equally dissolved yet.
Well, you already can't sleep. But again, he loves peanut butter too, so. He's at Swiss cheese. Good Lord, Swiss cheese. The child likes Swiss cheese. Every single time we go to the store, Mom, can I get some Swiss?
Again,
yeah, but you know.
Again, that voice. She's using voices to make him either sound like a complete doofus or like a little girl. Notice this? That's like Chris Foot would talk. Oh, it's Swiss cheese. Give me a beer. Oh, spaghetti.
You're responsible for eating it, right? And like not just any Swiss, like baby Swiss and lacy Swiss, like the worst, stinkier Swiss. And then he likes to come over near me and be like, and wave it near my face. I'm like, ugh. And he likes ham, but he wants the Virginia brand ham. So we got to go to the deli counter and get his Virginia brand ham.
What? What a great mother you were. You got him all of that, right? Except you're mentioning how you're telling us how annoyed you were by him.
It's different every time we buy a box. He was on Lucky Charms pretty hard for a while, and he went on Reese's Pieces for a while. He was.
Buy him some fruit. Buy him some real food. But because you have junk in the house, that's why he goes to junk. So the solution is not to cut out food. The solution is to get rid of the junk and buy real food. Some apples, oranges. I mean, I'm not meaning to sidetrack here, but these are things I've learned a lot about recently and I'm very interested in. So Katie is a very smart woman compared to, you know who? She could have figured a lot of things out, but she had no energy towards Sebastian. She gave him absolutely zero energy. No love, no energy, no concern. Everything that he said was annoying to her or awkward or what have you.
On that s'mores cereal for a little while. He went on a kick for that. He got off.
Food, food, food. That's why he couldn't sleep. And that's why you had to give him a lot of sleep aid, right, Katie? Can you not just tell us exactly what you're trying to beat around the bush over?
Raisin Bran. I don't know what happened. Like one day he just decided he didn't like raisins anymore. His favorite drink ever is just milk. But the Martinelli's apple
Very good. Very good. He has natural cravings.
juice, specifically the Martinelli's in the glass bottle, not the plastic ones, Mom. But don't buy him the plastic ones. He has to have it in glass because he's bougie. Like that.
Because he's bourgeois.
We went to.
What'd she say? He's bourgeois like this? He's bourgeois like this? Is that what she said? I'm not going to go rewind it. Wow, how dare he have some special wishes. By the way, I always prefer from the glass also. I don't know why, but I do.
So, when we were in there, and I was like, "Oh, Bubba, they got your apple juice," and he said, "Well, hold on," and he went over and tapped on it. He said, "That's not the right one, Mom. I don't even want that." But you know what? Sebastian won't touch anything carbonated.
Interesting.
Nothing. I think it's a sense.
Interesting, because I've recently learned, and I'm all into mineral water now, but non-carbonated one, because I've been reading about carbonation is actually, it's best to keep it natural. Water like it comes from the river, like our distant ancestors, what they drank from, which provides us with all of the so many nutrients, minerals that we actually need. So maybe he actually rejected anything unnatural except processed food like sugar because his craving was so strong. He went to that. That's just my thinking. I'm thinking out loud here, people, because I need to sort of escape the sadness once in a while of what this case brings along and talk about other things also that are going on through my mind, and I'm sure that others can relate to it somehow.
Sensory
Hopefully.
issue thing for him. He can't stand anything even lightly carbonated. He can't stand it. Good. He's got sensory issues, but
that's not an issue actually, in my opinion. That's just remember, his father talked about he's like a deer walking through the forest, enjoying the smell, taking in everything from nature. He was very much into water and nature, and he was drawn to anything nature. So anything unnatural for children who are autistic often have, it's not an issue, but they are very sensing. They sense things very deeply, very strongly. And our bodies are set up that way to protect ourselves from whatever may not be that good for us.
Each kid, person, everything is, unique to them. And for him, carbonation is a hard no. He has never drank a soda a day in his life. He's had a sip and hated every single time. Because, I do the flavored waters, and he was really into it with me. So every day we'd go and we'd make our, little water talks, and we'd do different recipes. We got a whole water bar set up, and he'd help me pick out flavors, and he would make his own waters. But I use sparkling water sometimes, and he would, every once in a while, he would grab my drink and drink it because he was being funny, and he's like, "Oh, I drink your water." Well, every once in a while, he'd grab it, and
again, this voice, man, they had no respect for this boy. None.
And it would have carbonated water in it, and he'd take one sip and be like, no, he does not like Pop Rocks. He's weird. Like, when he first got...
He's weird. That's her whole point. He's weird. You hear that? He's weird. That was one sentence. He is weird. Is that what you would say about your child in front of an audience, especially when this child is missing? He's weird?
Glasses. It was really difficult to transition and to get like accustomed to that. He's been in them for years and years now, so he's used to it. But like hats, he likes hats, but he can't stand wearing them. He tries, but he only manages to wear them for like a few minutes, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm done. Get it off me." He likes shorts over pants, but once he gets transitioned into pants, so like in the fall, once the weather turns and it's no longer acceptable short weather, once he gets used to wearing pants, it's not a problem. He wears them every day without a question. But it's the transition, So like when the weather starts getting warm, he'll start when he can start wearing shorts again, and then that's all he wants to wear, if that makes sense. For him, I don't necessarily think he had like a significant preference of pants over shorts so much as it was whatever he's accustomed to wearing.
He likes to be comfortable. How about that?
So, like, once he transitions into pants, he gets used to just throwing pants on every day, and he doesn't try to wear shorts. Vice versa, like even at night, like so it goes fluid. So like he'll wear sleep pants when he's in the wearing pants phase, and then when we transition back to shorts, he actually starts wearing shorts to bed too, like his pajama shorts and stuff. So he tends to be reasonably consistent. Overall, yes.
How long have you been listening to this now? How many times has she expressed that she misses him and that she's worried about him? How many times has she said, by the way, I am here on this network talking and yapping because I want to make sure that if anybody has seen him, please call in. This may seem like a waste of time to listen to, and it is to a large extent, but it does show us that she is in no way concerned where Sebastian is, which indicates that she knows exactly where he is, and what happened to him. Because even if she had issues with him, as she likes to call it, the uncertainty for a mother, the uncertainty not knowing what happened to the child, is probably unbearable. If if Seth finds out Sebastian is no longer with us, it'll be a very horrible moment for him. And it will be a minute seeming like days. It also allows a grieving process to kick in because we, as humans, have a mechanism protecting us from an emotional overload where we can get numb, almost in a frozen state, and just intense grief. And then little by little, as time goes by, we are able to face a little bit more of the reality, the new reality we have to accept. But the roller coaster ride of having hope, and then police leading you on, and Tony not making it any better, in my opinion. But then being by yourself at night in your bed, and your mind is telling you, you know what, they're all BSing me. And he's probably no longer with us. That's why Seth pointed out, please don't say he's dead, because that I saw his face when he said it. He does not want to examine this possibility at all. It is a huge fear, and deep inside, he probably thinks he wants to run away from his own thoughts, escape into hope. That's what keeps him going. That's what he said. But if you asked him, what do you really think? He would probably break down because he will think about, what are the possibilities here? None of that. You saw him on AMW, and then you hear these people laughing and imitating Sebastian. Oh my God.
Overall, yes, he does much better when he is on a regular routine. And thank you. So like for getting up at about the same time every day.
Thank you. Did he just mix a drink for her?
And having the same routine to get up and get ready to get out the door, and nighttime routine, taking medicine, taking shower, getting ready for bed, same thing in the morning, getting up, brush your chair, brush your teeth, put your clothes on.
Now the detail, but what about the detail of that night? Right after dinner, he went to dinner, and right around 9 he went to bed. You see, she almost made it sound like right after dinner. Of course, that's not what she's saying, but I'm certain that she had it in the back of her mind to tweak the language in a way that it's misleading without directly lying. She's very good at that. Sometimes she's a little bit blatant, sometimes very blatant, when she talks about the search radius again and again. But Katie Proudfoot is the type of person who's very self-aware and almost like standing next to herself, observing herself. That's why she can get so self-conscious. Because it's almost like she is watching herself perform, critiquing herself.
Getting up, brush your chair, brush your teeth, put your clothes.
Brush your what? Wait a minute. Brush your chair. Yep, the caption said, getting up, brush your chair, brush your teeth. Brush your chair? Did something happen? Is she referring to the chair he may have been sitting there when everything was on the table and he took whatever medicine she prepared for him so he would finally go to sleep? Go to sleep. I don't care what you're doing in there. Knock it off. Did she knock him out? Medically speaking? Interesting choice of words again. Is she thinking about the chair he was sitting in? Because she didn't tell us he took a shower that night or any of these things. But she told us how much food he had. He couldn't sleep. She felt the need to say he came out of his room. Was he there? Or was he downstairs? And did you mix him something to make sure he wouldn't say a tone when you were going to be alone on the phone with Chris? That maybe he would overhear you and come downstairs and want to be a part of the conversation because he couldn't sleep. Very interesting, right? The things she leaves out, all the details.
Clothes on, make your bed.
Guys, I will now stop this video. I will make more videos. I want to get through this. Julia Turner, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sending these things my way. Thank you so very much. I think that we need to keep these interviews out there. Not all of the Chris Foot ones, but everything that Katie Proudfoot says is pretty important to me. And to Case Analysis, the YouTube channel, thank you guys for doing what you're doing. Because I prefer to just hear Katie without hearing people yapping in the back, or, I don't need that, or stupid questions being asked. By the way, Seth said, if you have the exact quote of Seth talking about Katie getting drunk and getting verbose and doing MMA kicks allegedly. By the way, everything I'm saying is my opinion and my opinion only. I am not a judge. I am not on a jury. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Thank you for watching.